This is a story called Tom Thumb. A long time ago, one night, a woodcutter was spending a long, dreary evening with his wife. He was smoking his pipe as he sat beside the fireside. His wife next to him was spinning a yarn. "How lonely it is in here," he said, "without child," as he puffed a long curl of smoke. "A child would bring merriment to this house. If only we could have a child of our own, even if he was as big as me thumb. I'd love him to bits." Now sometimes wishes do come true, and in this case it did come true. They had a little baby boy, and he was no bigger than my thumbnail. He was born with dancing eyes, and no matter how much they fed him, he never grew. But what he lacked for in height, he more so made up with intelligence and guile, along with humour and wit. One day, the woodcutter was fretting about all the tasks and moaning that he needed a carter to help him. Tom said, "Dad, I can do that for you." "Don't be saft," he says, "you can't even reach the bridle." "Get Mom to harness the horse and cart and I'll show you." So she did. Tom scurried up the back leg and he climbed up the tail and landed on the hindquarters and looked at his mother and father and went, and he gamboled over, and in a flash he was in the horse's ear. "Gee up, Neddy. Gentle. Halt." And that was it. He was the carter from then on for his father. One day, the father was in the woods chopping wood, and Tom arrived on the horse. His father held the horse's bridle, put his hand out, and Tom jumped onto his hand, and his father smiled and put him down on a tuft of grass. There was two strangers watching this, and there was plotting. They wanted to take Tom away. They wanted to put him in a cage, and they wanted to show him off through the towns and make lots of money. So they went over to Tom's father and they said, "Is that your kid?" And Tom's father looked at them and said, "Yes, so what? What's it to you?" "Well, look at you. Look at your clothes that you're wearing. Look how tatty you are. Look how posh we are in our gleaming wares. We can give him a lot better life than you can. Is he for sale?" "Don't be soft. He's my own son and I love the bones of him. I ain't going to sell him for all the gold in the world." And then Tom leapt up his father's coat and whispered in his ear, "Dad, sell me. I'll be back. Sell me." And he was winking his eye. "Go on then." So he flogged him. And off they sat. Tom was in the peak of one of the hat and he was looking back at his father and he was going, "See you in a bit." Anyway, as dusk fell, Tom said, "I'm tired, can we rest a bit?" So they stopped at the side of the road and they placed Tom on a clod of earth so he could rest. Now Tom's dancing eyes were everywhere. He was looking everywhere he was, and he spotted a mouse hole. So he looked up at the men and he went, "Look over there, what's that?" And they both turned to look, and Tom was gone. He scudded across the top of the tree and he dropped down into the mouse hole. They turned round and said, "I seen him, that spunk bubble, he went down that mouse hole down there. Get a stick quick, let's get him out." So they got the sticks and they started to prod and prod and prod. But Tom was on the ledge and he was going, "A bit further, a bit further." Anyway, they run out of sticks and it went dark and they couldn't get him out the mouse hole. So they had to give up and away they went. Now Tom made sure they'd gone and he ran across the top of the furrows in the fields, and he was careful not to fall in case he broke his neck. And he found an empty snail shell, and he slept in there for the night under cover. The next day, two scallywags walked past. "Let's go and nip some gold and silver out the parson's house. I've heard he's got loads of gold in there." Tom overheard this and said, "Look, take me with you, and I can go in through the bars, and what I can do is get the gold and silver for you and pass it out to you." So they both agreed. So off they set on their escapade. Tom slipped in through the bars. It was night time, and everybody was asleep in the house. Tom got the gold and silver and said, "Here, look, what do you want? Do you want this one or that one?" They went, "Shh, you'll wake everybody up." And Tom spoke louder and louder and louder like this. And then the next thing you know, the maid woke up and she came into the room to investigate. Tom scarpered and hid behind one of the buckets. And the two robbers seen the maid coming, and off they went, and it was just as if a wolf was chasing a tail, and it never came back. So Tom slipped out of the bars outside and went to sleep in the barn. The maid went and got a candle and came back, and she couldn't see anything anywhere. And she thought, "Oh, maybe I was daydreaming." So she went back to bed. Tom went into the barn and went fast asleep in one of the bales of hay. The next morning, the maid was in the barn, and she picked the hay up and fed it to the cows. Tom awoke. Oh, where am I? Big teeth all round him. Oh, where am I? What's going on? He realised he was in the cow's mouth, and he had to do all his best to hide, to stop being gobbled up by these teeth. The next thing you know, he's down into the stomach. More hay coming on top of him, more hay. Oh, what am I going to do? Help! The maid heard the same voice that she heard the night before, and she thought it was the cow that was speaking. So she ran off into the house shouting, "Help, help!" The parson came out and said, "What's the matter with you?" "The cow's talking." Right, so the parson shot into the barn with one of his men and looked at the cow, and the cow was going, "Help me, help me." And he went, "In the name of the Father and the Holy Spirit, that's it. You Satan's took over the cow, quick, kill him." And one of his men picked up a big axe and went, bang, and the cow was dead. They cut him up and threw the stomach into the dunghy outside. Tom just pulled himself out of the stomach and thought, whatever next? Then, ha ha ha, a big wolf come and went, "Ha ha, I'm hungry," and gobbled Tom up. And Tom says, "No, hold on, mate, hold on. You won't be very hungry. You will be hungry for a long time with me in your stomach. I know where there's a place where there's plenty of food for you. There's duck, there's quail, there's beef, there's lamb, there's loads, apple pies even." And the wolf was happy with apple pies. So the wolf said, "Go on then, show me where it is." So they went off and they found Tom's house. They went in through the drain into the pantry, and the wolf started to devour everything in sight. After about half an hour, Tom said, "Now it's my turn. Mom, Dad, Mom." Tom's dad heard the noise, so he grabbed the axe and he told his wife to get the scythe. And they crept downstairs and looked through the door, and there they could see this big, fat wolf. He was full up. He was that full he couldn't escape out the drain. And then Tom says, "Dad, it's me, I'm here." So Tom told his wife and said, "Don't use the scythe to kill him. You might hurt him." He picked the axe up and he went, and the wolf was dead. They got some scissors and gently cut Tom, and he came out of the stomach like this. He was covered in dirt and grime and blood and tissues and everything. And they took him out and washed him up, made him clean, give him some new clothes. And they spoke to him, "At last we've got our son back." And Tom says, "Look, Dad, I've been down a mouse hole. I've been in a snail's shell. I've been in a cow's stomach. I've even been in a wolf's stomach. And I tell you what, right, I've had some right adventures. But there's no place like home.